Donald Trump is not the only person who is desperate to make this Jeffrey Epstein scandal go away, because Pam Bondi is equally culpable in the criminal cover-up and is terrified of any more attention being put on her screw-ups. And it's why she is hiding from the media and quite literally running scared, and it's backfiring on her, maybe even worse than if she would just address her lies. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into Pam Bondi running and hiding from the media, we first have to start with the reason that she's so scared. An update on this Epstein scandal from Lawrence O'Donnell.
Congressman Ro Khanna is also planning to hold a press conference, and this is very important, a press conference on September 3rd. So get ready for a big Trump diversion on September 3rd. That's a press conference on September 3rd with Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, joined by victims of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's abuse, several of whom will speak publicly about the abuse they suffered for the first time. The Daily Beast reports, quote, Massie and Khanna will also provide an update on their discharge petition, which would force a House vote on releasing the Epstein files, as well as discuss their Epstein Files Transparency Act, which, if passed, would require Attorney General Pam Bondi to release all documents related to the billionaire financier in a searchable and downloadable format. Congressman Massie, who has drawn Donald Trump's anger for voting against his Trump Republican budget bill, posted on social media on Friday, quote, the Epstein files are not a hoax. The Speaker adjourned Congress early to avoid the topic, but we will not forget. When the House returns from August recess, I can begin collecting the 218 signatures required to force a vote on binding legislation to release the files.
I still have mixed emotions about the testimony that is upcoming from Ghislaine Maxwell if Republicans do not completely stop it from happening because she is a proven liar. This is someone who has consistently perjured themselves and had no interest in sharing more information on Jeffrey Epstein, and still, she saw a pardon in sight from Donald Trump. But the fact that no one has asked for testimony from the victims on the Republican side just goes to show how little they actually care about the people who had their lives ruined and the people who had their lives ended by Epstein, Trump, and their criminal associates. So good on Rowana for elevating those voices, telling those stories, and making sure that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi cannot run away from them, as desperate as they are. And Trump is desperate. He made that pretty clear today when he was praising Pam Bondi, in fact, for doing everything except what she was supposed to be doing, according to him, which was making these Epstein files public. And he said something very interesting in this clip here, which we have to check out before Pam Bondi runs away, and some people that are doing an incredible job.
And some people that are doing an incredible job. One in particular is Attorney General Pam Bondi. The job she's doing is incredible. Thank you very much. Long beyond the Kennedy Center. The Kennedy Center is the easy part. She's incredible, and you're going to see a big change in Washington crime stats very soon. Oh, not the stats that they gave, because they turned out to be a total fraud. The real stats, the stats went through the roof. You know, they had a man that was forced to put up stats like they were doing better. They're not doing better. Crime is the worst it's ever been, but it started as of about yesterday. You see a big change, and people are feeling safe already. I've had so many calls. Thank you, sir. Thank you. They were afraid to walk out. They're not afraid anymore. And
So Donald Trump is saying that the DOJ numbers detailing crime dropping in D.C., which it has at the beginning of his presidency, not, of course, because of anything Donald Trump has done. Donald Trump wants to take billions out of the budget in Washington, D.C., make the city, which has seen crime drop to historic lows over the past few years, more unsafe, less efficient. But he said those numbers are fake. So Pam Bondi's numbers are fake from the DOJ. Donald Trump can never decide when things are real, when things aren't, what suits his narrative, what's actually truth, what's fake news. All he knows is that he wants you distracted. He does not want you focused. He wants you talking about his new interior design efforts at the White House and Kennedy Center, I guess. I don't know. But Pam Bondi doesn't want you talking about anything at all, which is why she's literally running away from the media, including Fox. That was all detailed right here.
Pam Bondi was a regular on Fox News, but hasn't appeared since the Epstein files backlash started. Attorney General Pam Bondi hasn't appeared on Fox News since backlash to the Trump administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files started. Bondi, once a regular on the cable giant, was last on air as a guest with Sean Hannity on June 30th, just days before the Justice Department and FBI dropped a bombshell memo about the Epstein case and ignited weeks of chaos, Mediaite first noted. The memo poured cold water on the theory that Epstein had a client list, concluded that he died in a New York cell by suicide, and said that there were no further documents in the case that would be released to the public. It was the beginning of a weeks-long uproar over the administration's failure to release the full Epstein files, despite making numerous promises to do so, and Bondi was in the middle of the MAGA firestorm. Some of the headlines Fox has run about Bondi since have been less than favorable. Bondi under siege after DOJ reveals no Epstein client list, a July 7th headline read, which again riled against the comment about the files being on her desk. Bondi briefly spoke with Fox correspondent David Spunt on July 18th during a tour of Alcatraz Island, but she did not appear as a guest as she had done many times previously.
Pam Bondi used to work for Fox, essentially. She wasn't the Attorney General. She was a Fox News correspondent who was the Attorney General on the side. So the fact that Pam Bondi is so ill-equipped or terrified to speak about this scandal that she might mix up her words, she might accidentally admit something about Trump's criminality, she might just bring more attention to it with her stupidity. And that she can't go on Fox. Fox of all places. Donald Trump's personal propaganda outlet just shows how incompetent this administration is, how much they're trying to hide, and how deep this cover-up goes. And it's the reason that Donald Trump has given Pam Bondi a new play-pretend task of overseeing the takeover of Washington, D.C. But he doesn't really seem to know what that means.
Despite Trump's claims, what he's doing to Washington, D.C. is not about crime, obviously. It never has been. It's not about it in any of these cities. I mean, just listen to Trump's hand-picked U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, when she was asked whether there was any plan to address the underlying causes of criminal behavior.
What about preventative? Do you or the president plan to do anything to address the root causes of crime in D.C., such as truancy?
My job is to try to heal the victims and prosecute the criminal. Everybody else can deal with rehabilitating the individual. I honestly am not concerned about why they commit crimes. My concern is if they commit crimes.
I mean, first of all, why does she look so surprised by the question? It's a very obvious question for someone to ask her. But more importantly, she's not concerned with why people commit crimes, not concerned with addressing the actual root of the problem. She just wants to know how many people she can lock up. Maybe she's looking for a quota of some sort. That sounds familiar. It's because it's the same approach this administration has taken with other issues, like, say, immigration. I mean, I don't think anyone thinks that Stephen Miller has ever really thought about why people come to this country or what conditions they may be fleeing from when they come to this country. But he's clearly thinking a whole lot about locking up and deporting as many of them as possible. He's even pushed ICE to meet arbitrary quotas so the administration could show off their big arrest numbers and call everyone they arrest a criminal, even if they're not. A majority of them are not. It was those policies that led to widespread and largely peaceful protests against Trump's policies in Los Angeles. And that, in turn, led to Trump lashing out and sending armed troops to roam the streets of a different major American city. I mean, remember Trump sent 4,000 National Guard troops to L.A. and another 700 Marines. He spent a whopping $134 million of taxpayer money on that spectacle. And what does he have to show for it? I mean, the people of Los Angeles are still protesting his immigration policies, despite Trump's attempt to terrorize their city. The California National Guard has seen a severe drop in morale, with some worried they may face lower recruitment because of all of this. And instead of focusing on crime, lawyers for Trump's Justice Department are spending this week in federal court trying to defend their military takeover of Los Angeles.
The man has not a clue what he's doing. He doesn't understand what the purpose is. Really, to me, this is just an effort for Donald Trump to set a precedent of taking over a city, as he's going to probably likely try to do during the midterms of the 2028 election. When Donald Trump says it's unsafe in Philly, it's unsafe in Milwaukee, it's unsafe in Detroit, what he really means is it's unsafe for Republican incumbents, right? They might be losing their seats, or Donald Trump might not be able to steal ballots. That's what he doesn't think is safe. That's what he's really worried about. Not D.C., as Senator Chris Murphy broke down right here.
Let's be clear about what's going on here. Donald Trump says that he is taking control of the Washington, D.C. police force today because violent crime is out of control in the capital city. But you know what are the two cities in America with the highest rates of homicide? It's not Washington, D.C. It's St. Louis, Missouri, and Memphis, Tennessee. Those are cities in two states run by Republican governors. In fact, if you look at the states that have the highest murder rates, the highest rates of violent crime, by and large, they are Republican states, not Democratic states. States like Connecticut, Massachusetts, California, amongst the safest states in the nation. This isn't about the safety of the people of Washington, D.C. This is about a president who is desperate to distract the conversation in this country away from what he is doing, to monetize the White House, to make himself rich off of his position, to distract this country from the Epstein debacle, his attempt to try to shield the rich and powerful from accountability, and the healthcare crisis that is coming in this country when millions of people get thrown off their healthcare insurance and millions more in just a few months have their premiums jacked up because of what Donald Trump has done to try to pass tax cuts for the wealthy by throwing people off their healthcare. So understand, this has nothing to do with the safety of people in Washington, D.C. The most violent cities are in Republican states, and there's no federal government, there's no National Guard, there's no U.S. military coming into those cities. This is not about safety. This is all about trying to distract from Donald Trump's corruption and his thievery.